Every alien warrior rejected the scarred princess, until a human claimed her. The first thing Ronan Hale noticed on the world of Drathis was the heat. The second was the smell. Both were terrible. The air burned his throat like he was inhaling melted coins. Ash drifted through the sky, and the ground pulsed with slow, angry heat from rivers of magma flowing under the black stone. But none of that compared to the giant standing in front of him. Commander Threx, a 12-foot Drathian guard, glared down at Ronan like he was something scraped off a boot. Her armor was thick plates of black iron. Her teeth were sharp. Her eyes glowed faintly orange from the volcanic minerals in her blood. "You humans," she growled, "always asking for soft air and warm water. Always weak." Ronan forced a polite smile that felt like it was melting. "All I requested, Commander Threx, is a small room with clean oxygen and a working dispenser that can make Terran-style coffee." "Brown water," she rumbled. "It's an important liquid." Threx didn't reply. She simply pointed to the massive carved doorway ahead. "The Queen Matriarch summons you. You will attend the Pit of Vows." Ronan swallowed. He hadn't planned to attend anything. His assignment was simple: show up, observe, fill out forms, and stay out of trouble. But trouble seemed to love him. The Pit of Vows was not a hall. It was a living volcano turned into a throne chamber. Obsidian walls curved upward like sharp fangs. Lava ran in glowing channels along the floor, lighting the whole room with shifting red light. Dozens of Drathian clan leaders stood in rigid groups, their armor carved with old battle marks, their weapons humming with hidden energy. Their stares were knives. Ronan felt like a soft snack in a room full of hungry predators. At the far end, on a throne of cooled magma, sat the Queen Matriarch. She looked impossibly old, her skin cracked like ancient stone. Her breaths were shallow, her eyes cloudy with pain. Beside her sat the reason for the gathering, Warlord Vaila. She sat with perfect posture, silent, alone, untouched by anyone around her. A wide empty space surrounded her. No Drathian stood within several meters of her, as if she carried a deadly sickness. Ronan had read her file. The scars twisting across the left side of her face came from a failed offensive that cost Drathis a territory and many warriors. Her people saw scars not as honor, but as proof of failure. Shame carved into skin. She was the princess no clan wanted, the heir no one supported, a symbol of disgrace. Ronan felt a strange sting of sympathy. He knew what it was like to be unwanted in a room. The Queen Matriarch spoke a command, but the hall stayed silent. No clan leader stepped forward to pledge loyalty. No warrior offered respect. The tension thickened until breathing felt like lifting a boulder. Finally, a panicked court attendant desperately searched for someone, anyone, to break the silence. His eyes landed on Ronan. "The human envoy," he announced far too loudly. "Surely he will honor us with a traditional greeting." Every Drathian head turned toward Ronan. He wanted to disappear into the floor. Declining would insult the queen. Accepting would risk saying something stupid. He opened his datapad, scrolling through formal Drathian phrases. Most were long, poetic, and full of words he couldn't pronounce. He needed something short. He found a line in an old ritual section. Beautiful, simple, harmless, or so it seemed. He lifted his cup of glowing, awful local ale and spoke clearly. "By ember and unbroken stone, I see the fire of your line and offer my name to its future." The hall fell silent, truly silent. Not a breath, not a whisper, not even the sound of armor shifting. Ronan blinked, confused. He smiled awkwardly. Then he noticed the expressions around him. Shock, fear, total disbelief. Even Vaila, the scarred heir, stared at him with sharp, stunned focus. Ronan's smile slowly died. "What exactly did I just say?" he whispered. He would soon wish he had stayed home and filed paperwork forever. Ronan Hale woke up to the sound of someone whispering his name like a terrified ghost. Sir. Ronan, please wake up. This is bad. Very bad." He opened his eyes to see Kieran, his young assistant, leaning over him. The boy looked pale enough to pass as chalk. Ronan groaned and sat up, head pounding like a loose engine. His makeshift quarters were a small stone room, lit by a single burning crystal that buzzed like an angry insect. "What happened?" Ronan mumbled. "Did I say something stupid?" Kieran swallowed hard. "You did much worse, sir." Ronan rubbed his face. "Did I insult the Queen Matriarch's throne? Did I mispronounce someone's name? Did I drink too much of that lava ale?" It wasn't the drink, sir. Kieran took a deep breath. You made a vow. Ronan blinked. A vow. A marriage vow, sir. Everything inside Ronan went still. The memory of the hall. The heat. The silence after he spoke. No, he whispered. That wasn't a marriage vow. It was just a greeting ritual. Kieran shook his head miserably. In the old Drathian language, offering your name to a bloodline's future means something very specific. It means you will give them heirs. You basically promised to marry warlord heir Vaila in front of every clan leader. Ronan stared at the wall as if trying to phase through it. Oh no. Oh yes, Kieran said, voice cracking. And it gets worse. Every Drathian warrior who could have claimed her has refused. They see her as cursed, unworthy, a living shame. Kieran wrung his hands. You were the first to offer anything to her in years. And you did it loudly. In public. In the pit of vows. Ronan stood up so fast he nearly fainted. I need to apologize. I need to file a correction. A retraction. Sir, no. Kieran almost screamed. If you take it back, you insult her bloodline. The clans might take it as a challenge. Or a declaration of war. Or they might toss you into a lava river. Ronan froze. Lava. War. Death. All because he tried to sound poetic. There wasn't a form in the galaxy that could fix this. Before he could think further, 2 enormous guards entered. They didn't drag him. They didn't even glare. They looked at him with something worse. Pity. Envoy Ronan Hale. One guard said in a low rumble. The warlord heir summons you. Summons. Not kills. That was something. They led him deep into the royal spire, a tower carved from a single column of cooled magma. The halls were dark, smooth, and strangely quiet, like walking through the throat of a sleeping beast. Finally, they stopped in a large chamber with a tall window overlooking the burning capital. There, standing with her back straight and her hand resting on a training blade, was Vaila. The scars across her left cheek caught the red light of the city's magma rivers. Her armor was scarred, battered, but polished. Her one unscarred eye was sharp and bright. She turned when he entered. Ronan braced himself. He expected shouting. A blade to the throat. Maybe a short speech about how humans die easily. But Vaila only stared at him with an unreadable expression. Human, she said, voice low and steady. Ronan Hale. He swallowed. Warlord heir Vaila. Listen, I made a terrible mistake. A misunderstanding. I didn't intend. He stopped. Because she stepped forward with controlled, dangerous calm. You believe I brought you here for an apology? She asked. Well, yes. Or perhaps to punish me. I would understand the punishing part. Something flickered in her eye. Not anger. Something sharper. I brought you here, Vaila said, to tell you what your vow has done. He winced. Destroyed your reputation? Caused a diplomatic crisis? Got me killed? Please tell me which. Her gaze did not move from his. You changed the entire court in one night. Ronan blinked. Come again. Your vow, Vaila said, was the boldest act this court has seen in a generation. To claim me, the scarred, the shunned, the unwanted, in front of the clans? They cannot decide if you are a fool or a genius, a weakling, or something far more dangerous. She took another step. For the first time in years, they no longer ignore me. Ronan stared at her, stunned. I didn't mean to do anything bold, or smart, or political. I was just trying not to offend anyone. Intent does not matter, she said. Perception is the only truth the clans accept. He opened his mouth, then closed it. There were no good words for this. So what now? Ronan asked quietly. Vaila nodded once, sharp, decisive. Now, she said, I accept. Ronan's heart nearly stopped. I accept what exactly? Your vow, she said. Your offer. Your name. Your alliance. She stepped close enough that he could see every line of her scars. You, Ronan Hale, are now my consort. His brain crashed. I'm what? She gave him the faintest, most terrifying smile. Welcome to Drathis, human. Our union begins at dawn. Ronan had survived storms, accidents, and a bureaucratic supervisor who chewed nails for breakfast. But nothing felt as dangerous as the smile of the scarred alien warrior who had just accepted his accidental marriage proposal. Ronan Hale had seen some strange things during his career, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the Drathian idea of a honeymoon. He had imagined awkward conversations, maybe a private meeting, possibly signing some forms. Instead, He found himself standing in the palace courtyard at dawn, sweating through his uniform while a massive creature the size of a shuttle glared at him. It had 6 legs, 4 horns, 2 rows of burning eyes. This was Vaila's mount, an ashmaw, a beast bred in volcanic pits, fed molten ore, and trained to respond only to warriors with strong bloodlines. Vaila climbed onto its back with ease, moving like someone who had never known fear a single day of her life. The ashmaw rumbled with approval. Ronan turned to his assigned mount, a wobbling, rusty brown cargo creature with 8 unsteady legs, uneven eyes, and a permanent look of confusion. Its name, according to the caretaker, was Rattlebug. Ronan stared. "Is this one safe?" "It falls down," the caretaker answered proudly. "But it always gets back up." Very symbolic. Ronan sighed and climbed on. The creature immediately tipped sideways. Vaila watched without comment, her expression unreadable. When Rattlebug finally managed to stand, she spoke. "We begin now. The clans beyond the capital will not pledge loyalty unless they see strength. We must visit them before the court chooses a new power to follow." "So we're going on a tour?" Ronan asked. "A campaign," she corrected. "Right. A fiery political adventure with wildlife." Vaila ignored him and urged her ashmaw forward. Rattlebug squeaked and followed, wobbling down the black stone path like a drunk insect. The land outside the capital was even harsher than the city. Great shards of obsidian cut through the sand. Steam vents hissed like angry serpents. The red sky flickered with distant lightning trapped in ash clouds. Ronan clung to Rattlebug's uneven saddle, praying the creature didn't spontaneously collapse. After an hour of silent travel, he tried to break the oppressive quiet. "So, beautiful weather today." Vaila didn't look back. "Drathis is forged in fire. We honor difficulty." "My home is forged in coffee and climate control," Ronan muttered. "We honor comfort." Still no reaction. They rode over a ridge, and a massive fortress carved into a black cliff came into view. Stronghold Vrakner, home of Clan Halrox, one of the most aggressive Drathian factions. Smoke billowed from its towers. Red banners snapped in the molten wind. War drums echoed from within. "Let me guess," Ronan said. "These people hate you." "No," Vaila replied. "Really, they hate everyone." "That's not better." Inside the fortress hall, warriors lined the stone walls, their armor glowing faintly from the heat. The clan matriarch, Warlord Lurin, sat on a throne made of sharpened metal spikes. She was enormous even by Drathian standards, with tusks polished to silver. When Vaila entered, whispers filled the hall. "The scarred heir. The cursed one. She brings a human. How pathetic." Ronan kept his face neutral, though his stomach twisted. Lurin stood, towering over them. "So," she growled, "the unwanted heiress returns." And with a soft-shelled Terran tied to her like a pet. Vaila's jaw tightened, but she did not draw her blade. Ronan wished she would. He preferred swords to insults. Swords were predictable. "We are here to receive your pledge of loyalty," Vaila said calmly. Lurin laughed, a deep, ugly sound. "You think I will bow to a warrior who failed her people? Or to the tiny creature she tricked into a vow?" Ronan instinctively stepped back. Vaila stepped forward. But Lurin lifted her massive axe and pointed it at Vaila. "If you want my loyalty, you will win it in the trial circle. You and me. Now, unless your human wishes to fight instead." Ronan nearly swallowed his tongue. "No, absolutely not. I bruise when someone looks at me too hard." Vaila's hand moved to her weapon. The duel was about to begin. Except Ronan suddenly remembered something crucial. He was a diplomat. He didn't fight with blades. He fought with rules. He cleared his throat loudly. "Warlord Lurin, before you start swinging your axe, I must bring up a small but important issue." Lurin glared at him. "What issue, little Terran?" Ronan tapped his datapad. "I've reviewed your clan's equipment. Very impressive. Except for one thing. Your frontline guards are using unlicensed plasma coils." A ripple of alarm moved through Lurin's advisors. Ronan continued with bureaucratic precision. "And those coils violate 3 interstellar safety treaties. If the Galactic Compact learns of this, and they will, your clan could face sanctions, trade freezes, investigations, years of intrusive audits." Even Lurin's bravado cracked under the word audits. She glanced at her advisors. They were already whispering frantically. Vaila moved like lightning. While Lurin was distracted, Vaila struck. She didn't wound. She disarmed, smashing the axe from Lurin's hands and forcing the warlord to the ground. The hall fell silent. Lurin gasped, then spat out the words, "I yield." Vaila lowered her blade. Ronan exhaled in relief. For the first time, Vaila looked at him with something like respect. "You fight strangely, human." "It's all paperwork," Ronan said. "Sharp, painful paperwork." The journey continued for days. Clans pledged loyalty after seeing Vaila win duel after duel, and after watching Ronan terrify several warlords with nothing more than treaty violations and tax codes. Word of their strange partnership spread across Drathis like a desert storm. But after 3 clans, Vaila said they needed something more. "We must prepare," she told Ronan one night. "The clans will return to the capital soon. Tyrix will challenge the throne. We need allies. Real allies." Ronan nodded, pretending he wasn't sore from Rattlebug collapsing under him 6 times. "And where exactly do we find real allies?" he asked. Vaila turned her ashmaw toward the smoking mountains. "In the hidden markets." Ronan didn't like the sound of that, but he followed. The searing warrens lay deep below jagged cliffs, carved by centuries of underground magma flows. The air here was different, a strange mix of sulfur, spice, and something that smelled oddly like burnt sugar. Glowing crystals lined the tunnel walls. Steam hissed through cracks. Strange shadows flickered in the mist. "It feels like we're walking into the stomach of a giant beast," Ronan whispered. "We are," Vaila said. Ronan froze. She walked on calmly. He hurried after her. At the end of the winding tunnels, the hidden market opened like a glowing cavern city. Stalls made of heated stone, lanterns of molten glass. Traders of every shape and species shouting, bartering, arguing, laughing. Ronan stared with wide eyes. "This is incredible." "It is dangerous," Vaila corrected. And she was right. Everyone here carried weapons openly. Everyone stared at the princess, and at her surprising human consort. "Keep your head down," she murmured. "Speak only when needed." "Can I breathe?" Ronan asked, preferably quietly. Their first stop was a stall made of fused metal scraps, where a tall creature with 4 shifting arms and shimmering armor plating clicked its mandibles at them. "Ah, Princess Vaila," the trader said in a smooth, metallic voice. "The exiled one returns. And she brings the small mammal." Ronan raised a hand. "Hello. This is Zorik, weapon dealer," Vaila said. "Arms merchant," Zorik corrected. "A respectable profession." Usually. Zorik's exoskeleton changed color as he assessed them, from blue curiosity to purple amusement to bright gold excitement. "You need supplies," the creature said. "Stealth gear? Illegal dampeners? A bomb that sings before exploding?" "No bombs," Ronan said quickly. Vaila ignored him. "Communications scramblers. Untraceable blades. Something light, strong." Zorik grinned, mandibles clacking. "For you? I can craft anything." While Vaila and Zorik haggled using gestures and sharp words Ronan couldn't understand, he wandered a few steps and nearly screamed. Because standing against a wall was a giant metal figure, motionless, dusty, and covered in hand-painted flowers. Its eyes suddenly lit red. "Human," it said in a deep monotone. "You are squishy." Ronan stumbled back. What are you?" "Designation, K-12. But I prefer the name I was gifted by my last owner, Petal." "Petal," Ronan repeated. "You're a war machine?" "Former war machine," Petal corrected. "Now I seek peace." "And poetry." Ronan blinked. Before he could answer, the robot recited slowly. "Stars fall, metal stands. Soft ones wander into fire. Danger tastes like hope." Ronan stared. That was surprisingly good. Petal inclined its head. "I am available for hire." "Oh no," Ronan whispered. "No, no, no." But Vaila appeared beside him. "Petal, you still function." "I function with purpose," the robot replied. "Your struggle is worthy. I will join your cause." Ronan's eyes widened. "Did we just recruit a poetic siege robot?" Vaila nodded. "Yes." Ronan felt faint. As they left Zorik's stall with new equipment, Ronan heard a strange bubbling sound. A glowing, translucent blob rolled toward them. It was roughly the size of a large backpack, but pulsated gently, like a living lantern. It emitted lights and low hums. Ronan's translator clicked, buzzed, then suddenly produced a voice like smooth rhythm. "Yo, yo, traveler crew. Yo, yo, traveler crew." Saw your vibe and slid on through. Human looks lost. Princess looks fire. Let me join up. Lift your empire. Ronan almost dropped his datapad. What is that? This, Viola sighed, is a Lumina gel, a storyteller species. I am Slow J, the blob announced proudly in rhythmic tones. Master of beats, tales, and heat. Ronan rubbed his forehead. A glowing blob that raps. Slow J wiggled proudly. You know it. Pedal clanked forward. Emotion detected. Enthusiasm. Caution advised. Viola looked between the blob and the robot. They will both come. Ronan stared at her. Our team is now a warrior princess, a Terran bureaucrat, a sarcastic bug merchant, a poetry robot, and a glowing rap jelly. It is an army, Viola said firmly. It is a disaster, Ronan muttered. She looked at him, the smallest hint of a smile tugging at her scarred lips. Sometimes disaster wins. Ronan didn't know whether to feel inspired or terrified. Maybe both. What he didn't know, as they left the hidden markets with their strange new allies, was that this crew, this mismatched, ridiculous group, would soon become the most dangerous force Drathis had seen in a century. But for now, Ronan simply asked the question that had been building in his mind. Viola, are we sure these are the best allies? They are the ones who said yes, she replied. And somehow, Ronan found that oddly comforting. Night on Drathis was not peaceful. The sky glowed red even in darkness, lit by distant eruptions and the unending rivers of molten stone. But compared to the blazing day, the night felt almost gentle, like a monster resting with its eyes half closed. Ronan and Hale sat beside their campfire, poking a stick at the glowing embers. Their strange new companions rested around them. Petal stood perfectly still, scanning the horizon like a silent metal mountain. Slow J glowed faint blue, humming a slow rhythm that pulsed across the ground. Viola sat apart from them, as she always did. Her armor lay beside her. She sharpened a blade with rhythmic, controlled movements. She looked strong, untouchable, unbreakable. But Ronan had seen things she tried to hide. He watched carefully as she shifted her arm. Her expression didn't change, but he noticed it. A tiny, fleeting flicker around her eyes, like a shadow crossing her face. Pain, not the sudden kind. The long, quiet, familiar kind. Ronan stood and walked toward her. Viola, he asked softly. She didn't look up. You should sleep? Human. You're hurt. Her sharpening stone paused for half a second, so small anyone else would miss it. But he didn't. It is nothing, she said. Old wound. Old wounds can still bleed, Ronan said. Or hurt like hell. Viola finally met his gaze. Her unscarred eye glowed faint amber in the firelight. You know nothing of my wounds. Maybe, he said, kneeling beside her. But I know when someone is covering pain. She tensed, watching him closely. He pointed to her shoulder, right where the scarred plates met damaged skin. Beneath the firelight, he saw it clearly. Every time she moved, something under the surface caught the light. A tiny shard. Metal. Foreign. How long has that been stuck in you? Ronan asked quietly. Her jaw tightened. Since the Battle of Karth Ridge, she said. Years. Ronan winced. Years of pain. Years of pretending it didn't hurt. You never had it removed? No healer would touch me after the defeat, Viola said flatly. The clan saw me as a disgrace. They believed the wound was deserved. Ronan felt something cold settle in his chest. Not fear. Anger. Viola turned away, as if expecting shame from him. Instead, Ronan reached for his diplomatic kit. Hold still, he said gently. She frowned. What are you doing? Maintenance. This is not a machine part. Human. No, Ronan said carefully, opening a small set of micro-tools. But you're hurting. And I'm tired of watching you pretend you're made of stone. Viola hesitated, only for a heartbeat. But then she nodded. Ronan activated a tiny scanning light. It glowed faint blue as he leaned in close. He moved with soft hands, the way he handled delicate circuits or old data tablets. Viola stiffened at first. No one touched her gently. Not in years. Not since before the betrayal. But Ronan wasn't afraid of her scars. He wasn't afraid of her silence. He wasn't afraid of her pain. I will be quick, he said. She didn't answer. He found the shard, buried deep, hooked near a nerve. A reminder of the moment her soldiers died around her. A reminder of failure she never deserved. Ronan exhaled, steadying his hands. This might sting. I can endure far worse. I know, he whispered, but you shouldn't have to. With slow, precise movements, he used his tools to grip the shard. Viola's jaw clenched, but she didn't make a sound. The fire cracked softly beside them. Then, click, the shard slid free. A breath escaped Viola, sharp and involuntary, like something heavy had lifted off her chest. Ronan held the tiny piece of metal up to the light. Dark, twisted, ugly. This, Ronan said, is not part of you anymore. He set it on a cloth beside her. Viola stared at him, not at the shard, at him. She wasn't used to being helped without being judged. She wasn't used to being seen without being mocked. She wasn't used to the feeling spreading through her chest now, warm, confusing, dangerous. You care, she said quietly, as if the words themselves were unfamiliar. Of course I care, Ronan said. You think I'd leave a friend suffering? She blinked. Friend. That word landed harder than any blade. No warrior has ever done what you just did, she said. That's because they're warriors, Ronan replied. I'm a bureaucrat. We fix things. Sometimes even people. For the first time since he'd met her, Viola's voice softened. Not sharp, not defensive, but almost human. You are not what I expected, Ronan Hale. He smiled faintly. Good. Because neither are you. She looked at him for a long moment. Long enough for Slow J to dim itself. Long enough for Petal to stop scanning. In the firelight, she didn't look like a cursed heir. She looked like someone who had been alone for too long, and suddenly wasn't. And Ronan realized something dangerous. He would do anything to protect her. Not because of duty, but because he wanted to. Viola turned her gaze to the horizon. We move at dawn, she said quietly. Ronan nodded, sitting beside her as the fire burned low. But in the safe quiet of the night, something had changed. Not in the world. Between them, dawn came quietly. Too quietly. Most Drathian mornings roared with heat vents and distant eruptions, but the air around their camp felt strangely still. Ronan Hale sat awake long before the others rose, staring at the glowing horizon with a heaviness in his chest. They were close to returning to the capital, close to confronting the court, close to facing the next queen challenger, Tyrix. And Ronan knew one thing. He was a weakness. Last night, after removing the metal shard from Viola's shoulder, something had shifted between them, something deep and fragile. But as meaningful as it felt, Ronan couldn't ignore the truth. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a symbol of strength. He was a threat to Viola's rise because the clans mocked him, and by mocking him, they mocked her. If he stayed, he would destroy everything she had fought for. So, before the first embers of sunrise reached the camp, Ronan quietly gathered his small pack. He moved with careful steps, glancing around to make sure the others were asleep. Petal stood in a resting state, unmoving. Slow J glowed faintly, dreaming in slow pulses. Even Rattlebug snored, a weird clicking sound. Ronan reached into his pack and pulled out a device no diplomat should own. A sleek, unmarked extraction beacon. A single button. One activation. No questions asked. He had obtained it in a back alley on another world just in case. This was the case. He whispered into the chilly air. This is for her, not me. His thumb pressed the button. A faint blue pulse shimmered across the sand. And behind him, a voice like cracked stone cut through the stillness. Human, what are you doing? Ronan froze. He turned slowly. Viola stood near the dying campfire, half in shadow, half in sunlight. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes burned like molten gold. Viola, Ronan stuttered. You're up early. You are leaving. Not a question. A verdict. Ronan held the extraction beacon behind him. I'm recalibrating my equipment. Lies, she said, stepping closer. Your heartbeat gives you away. He swallowed. Viola, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, she snarled. I heard the whispers too, human. The court mocking you. Mocking me for accepting you. And now, after all we've done, after all we've survived, you choose to run. Run. That word landed like a blade. Ronan shook his head. I'm trying to help you. You help me by abandoning me? She demanded. Ronan lifted his chin. I'm the reason they laugh at you. You think I care for their laughter? She growled. You should, he burst out. You're fighting to be queen. You need strength. You need unity. And I'm just making it harder. Her jaw clenched. So you see me as a burden, she said quietly. A broken weapon. Something to be protected, then discarded when it becomes inconvenient. Ronan's heart twisted painfully. What? No, that's not it. Then what? She shouted, for the first time losing control. What truth could justify you abandoning me in the dark like a coward? The word hit him like a punch. Coward. He'd been called many things. Soft, weak, unfit. But coward felt different. It felt wrong in her mouth. Ronan stepped forward, anger rising. Anger not at her, but at himself, at the situation, at the universe that kept twisting their lives. You think I'm leaving because of your scars? He said, voice trembling. Because of your reputation? Because you're some broken heir? Vaila, look at me. She did. And he held her gaze, fierce and raw. I'm leaving because I care, he said. Because if staying with you means putting a target on your back, I won't be the cause of your downfall. Vaila stared. The fire in her eyes flickered. Confusion, pain, something deeper. You care, she repeated weakly. You say it so easily. But you know nothing of me. You think that, Ronan whispered. After everything we've been through? After riding into fire with you? After pulling metal out of your skin with my own hands? After watching you fight for a people who spit on your name? He took another step. She didn't move away. You are the strongest person I have ever met. You survive out of sheer will. You stand alone because no one ever stood with you. His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. And if you think your scars make you less, then you haven't been listening to me at all. The wind carried silence between them. Vaila's breaths came slow, shaken, unsteady. And you? She whispered. What makes you stay? That, Ronan said, stepping right in front of her, is the problem. And then he grabbed the fabric of her tunic, pulled her down to him, and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't polite. It was desperate, messy, heated, real. For a heartbeat, Vaila was stone, shocked, unmoving. Then something inside her cracked. Her hands rose, gripping his back. She kissed him with fire, with fury, with years of loneliness melting into one impossible moment. The world narrowed to two people breathing the same burning air, until a deep metallic voice interrupted. Alert, pedal boomed loudly. BIO signs spiking. Possible assault. Weapon charge initiated. A plasma bolt shot into the sky, exploding like fireworks. Ronan jerked away. Vaila spun around with a growl. Stand down, she snapped. Pedal paused. Threat. Neutralized. No, Ronan shouted. Nothing was neutralized. Vaila glared at Ronan, breathing hard, her cheeks flushed with something that definitely was not anger. He opened his mouth. She spoke first. You, she said softly, dangerously, are not leaving, Ronan Hale. And this time, he didn't argue. The capital of Drathis burned brighter than ever when Ronan Hale and Vaila returned. Not with flames, with tension. Every street hummed with marching warriors. Every balcony held armed observers. Every shadow hid whispers of rebellion. Ronan felt the weight of it as they neared the great obsidian gates. The clans were gathering to pick a ruler, and most had already decided it would not be Vaila. Beside him, Vaila rode her Ashma in silence. Her scars glowed faint in the red morning light. Her posture was rigid, but not from fear. She was ready. Behind them marched their strange allies. Petal, the flower-painted war machine, humming a calm battle haiku. Slow J, glowing with constant rhythmic energy. Rattlebug, wobbling proudly like the world's worst cavalry mount. They approached the throne hall. Inside, everything was on the brink of violence. Dozens of clan leaders stood in armed groups. Weapons hummed. Armor gleamed. Warlord Tyrix of the Iron Talons stood before the throne, a massive figure with crimson-plated armor and a cold sneer carved onto her face. The throne is empty, Tyrix declared to the hall. The Queen Matriarch is gone. Drathis needs strength. It needs a ruler without shame. The clans murmured in agreement. Ronan and Vaila stepped inside. The hall fell silent. Tyrix's eyes narrowed. So, the cursed heir returns. And she brings her pet. Ronan inhaled slowly. He was done being called that. Vaila stepped forward, voice sharp as a blade. By right of blood, the throne is mine. Tyrix barked a laugh. And by right of strength, I will take it. The hall shifted. Warriors tensed. Grips tightened. Sparks crackled on blades. Ronan stepped forward before the fight could explode. He raised his datapad. My turn, he said softly. The clans looked confused. Tyrix narrowed her eyes. What trick do you bring now, human? No trick, Ronan said, voice ringing through the hall. A warning. He tapped the datapad. A hologram flickered to life. Planetary maps, mining zones, treaty codes. The Galactic Compact, Ronan continued, has been monitoring Drathis for months. They detected your trilithium deposits. Valuable, rare, and very tempting. The room murmured, worried, afraid. Tyrix frowned. What are you suggesting? That if they see you tearing your world apart with a civil war, Ronan said, the compact will label Drathis unstable and move in. He stepped into the center of the hall, speaking with the same tone he used to dismantle warlords. They will strip your weapons, claim your mines, split your clans, and you, strong, proud warriors, will be reduced to workers in your own land. The hall froze. Tyrix's eyes flickered with doubt. Lies, she hissed. Vaila stepped forward, drawing her ceremonial dagger. She pressed its heated edge against her armored palm. The metal glowed bright red. She stared directly at Tyrix. He is my consort, Vaila warned. Interrupt him again, and I burn you before the compact ever arrives. The hall erupted in whispers. Ronan walked back beside her. Together, they stood in a single line of fire and strategy, stronger together than either had ever been alone. Tyrix looked between them, between the burning blade and the cold logic. She realized she had no path to victory. Slowly, painfully, she dropped to one knee. I acknowledge the bloodline, she growled. One by one, like dominoes, clan leaders followed. Knees hit stone across the hall. The throne room bowed to Vaila, to the scarred heir who refused to break, to the human who fought battles with words sharper than steel. In that moment, Drathis changed. Hours later, the chaos quieted. The clans accepted the new order, and the great throne, carved from a single slab of volcanic glass, waited for its rightful ruler. Vaila stood before it, Ronan beside her. Her voice was low. I should sit. But the throne, it never felt like it was meant for me. Ronan smiled softly. Things we don't expect often end up being the things we need. Vaila looked at him, really looked at him. You should stand beside me, she said. I will, Ronan replied. If you want me to. I do. Her voice was firm, almost gentle. You are my consort, my ally, and more. Before she could say what more meant, Slowjay rolled forward, bursting into bright purple light. Yo, yo, new queen on the throne, let the whole world see. She's fire and stone, and her king-to-be. Blade and brain, heart and flame. Two sparks together, changing the game. Ronan groaned. Vaila smirked. And Petal delivered a final quiet haiku. Two embers collide. Worlds bend to their joining heat. A rain forged in fire. Vaila stepped toward the throne. Ronan took her hand. They ascended together. And when she sat upon the volcanic seat, with Ronan standing at her side, the hall erupted with roars of approval. Queen Vaila of Drathis had risen. And by her side stood the unlikely human who changed a world not with weapons, but with heart, courage, and unstoppable HFY stubbornness. Their rule had just begun.